Doctor warns, 5 have sex secrets old men wish they knew sooner. Life lessons from the elderly. I was 67, sitting right here, staring at the same sunset, when it hit me hard. I'd spent decades chasing fleeting sparks of passion, thinking that's what kept me alive. But it left me hollow, like I'd missed a real thing. And if you're over 60 and want to feel more alive than ever, hit that subscribe. I wish someone had sat me down years ago, looked me in the eye, and told me what sex, connection, and being a man really mean when time starts catching up. Tom woke up that morning, his body heavy, like the weight of the world had settled into his bones overnight. His mouth was dry, tongue sticking to the roof, and his eyes blinked against the dim glow of 5:30 a.m. on the clock. The room was still, too quiet, the kind of quiet that made the loneliness louder. He lay there, groggy, his head thick with fog, the kind that comes from too many nights of broken sleep. His stomach rumbled, empty since last night's soup, but he didn't feel like moving. Not yet. He shifted, propping himself against the headboard, the wood creaking under his weight. His hands, rough from years at the mill, rested on the quilt his wife had made. She'd been gone 4 years, and mornings like this felt emptier without her. He reached for his old ritual, something he'd done for years to feel alive, to shake off the gray. It was just him and the silence, a private moment to spark something human before the day began. But this time, as he leaned forward, his breath short, a strange feeling crept in. His heart started racing, not the good kind, but a stuttering, uneven gallop. A wave of dizziness hit, sharp and sudden, like the room was tilting. His hands gripped the mattress, his vision blurring at the edges. He froze, chest tight, wondering if this was it, if he'd pushed too far. The moment passed, but it left him shaken, his pulse loud in his ears, his body unsteady. Tom sat there, catching his breath, the quilt bunched in his fists. He realized he'd been running on empty, hadn't had water, hadn't eaten, hadn't given his body a chance to wake up. He was parched, his blood sluggish, his heart caught off guard. He'd always thought of his morning habit as harmless, but now he saw it differently. It was like revving an old car without oil, asking too much of a body that needed care, not rush. Mornings were fragile. He realized his heart wasn't ready for the sudden strain, not when he was still half asleep, dry as dust. He shuffled to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and drank slowly, the cold soothing his throat. He stood by the window, watching the sky turn pink, and took a deep breath. It felt like a start. Now, Tom drinks water first, a full glass, letting it wake him gently. He breathes a little, stretches, gives his heart time to ease into the day. And his heart thanks him for it. Frank woke to the same stillness, the sun barely up, painting his room in pale gold. His wife's side of the bed stayed empty, untouched for years. He reached for his phone, thumbs swiping through the familiar app, a morning habit carved deep. The screen flickered to life, images, sounds, a rush he used to chase. It was automatic, like brewing coffee or lacing his boots. Just something to fill the silence, to feel a spark before the day ground on. But this morning, as the video played, Frank felt nothing. No thrill, no warmth, just a hollow ache. The faces on the screen blurred into noise, their moans distant, like they belonged to another world. He stared, waiting for something, anything, to stir inside him, but his chest stayed heavy, his heart unmoved. It wasn't pleasure anymore. It was a reflex, a ritual that left him emptier than before. He'd been here so many mornings, chasing a feeling that slipped further away each time. The women on the screen weren't real, and neither was the man he used to be. He missed his wife's touch, her laugh, the way her hand felt in his. This wasn't connection. It was a wall, keeping him from himself. He set the phone down, the screen still glowing, and looked out the window. The world was waking, alive. Maybe it's time to close the screen and remember what it feels like to really be touched. John sat on the worn edge of his mattress, the springs creaking under his weight. The room was cold, the kind of cold that settled into his bones, matching the quiet that filled the house since his wife passed. Early morning light, weak and gray, slipped through the curtains, painting his face in faint lines. His breath was heavy, not from joy, but from a hollow ache that clung to him. He'd hunched over, as he always did, his back tight, thighs pressed together, chasing a fleeting moment of release. It was habit, something to break the silence of dawn, but it left him empty, like he'd poured himself out and found nothing to fill the space. Each time, as the moment faded, a wave of guilt crashed in. He felt small, weak, like he'd betrayed something. Himself, maybe, or the memory of her. His body ached, not just from a strain of hunching, the way his spine curved and his hips locked, but from the shame that whispered he shouldn't need this, shouldn't want it. The tension in his shoulders, the tightness in his chest. It wasn't just the posture. It was the weight of judging himself for being human, for seeking warmth in a cold room. Day after day, it piled up, stealing the joy he used to find in simple things. One morning, John stopped. He didn't hunch, didn't rush. He lay back on the bed, the quilt soft beneath him, his body open, relaxed. The light was softer that day, the silence less heavy. He breathed deeply, let the moment be what it was. No guilt, no shame. Just him. And it finally felt right. Henry woke before the sun, his body stiff, the ache in his joints a reminder of years piling up. The room was silent, save for the faint tick of the clock, but his mind was loud, whispering fears of fading, of losing what made him a man. He'd always been strong, the guy who carried logs at the mill, who loved fiercely, who never backed down. But now, at 69, he felt time nipping at his heels. Every morning, he pushed himself, not for pleasure but out of desperation. He had to prove he was still here, still capable, still a man. He'd tense up, force it, his heart racing, his breath shallow, ignoring the twinge in his chest, the heaviness in his limbs. It wasn't about joy. It was about fear, about not letting age win. But each time, he felt less, not more. The spark he chased was dim, leaving him hollow, like he was fighting a battle he'd already lost. He didn't see it then, how he was ignoring his body's quiet pleas, slow down, breathe, rest. He thought pushing harder would keep him young, but it only made him tired, disconnected. One morning, he nearly collapsed, dizzy, his heart pounding too fast. It scared him enough to pause, to listen. That afternoon, around 5 p.m., the lights soft and golden, Henry tried again. Not to prove anything, but to feel. He sat on the porch, sipped water, let his shoulders relax. The world felt gentle, his body calm. He didn't rush, didn't force. He breathed deeply, let intimacy unfold slowly, naturally. For the first time in years, it wasn't a fight. It was peace, connection, a quiet joy that felt like coming home to himself. His heart didn't race. It hummed, steady and sure. Henry learned that afternoon, between 4 and 7, when the day softens and the body's ready, that intimacy isn't about proving strength. It's about honoring what's still alive in you. Sex isn't about proving anything anymore. It's about feeling human, alive, even when you're alone. And if that speaks to you, share this with someone who needs to hear it. The sun's sinking now, spilling its last light across the fields, turning everything golden, like it's whispering one final truth before night falls. I've walked a long road, through days of strength, nights of doubt, and mornings where I wondered if I was still enough. Aging catches you off guard, doesn't it? The mirror shows lines you didn't expect, and the world gets quiet when you're alone. But sitting here, feeling the breeze, I've made peace with it. The gray hair, the slower steps, the ache in my bones, they're not losses, they're stories. I wish I'd told my younger self to stop fighting to prove I was a man, to stop chasing shadows of who I thought I should be. You're still here, still whole, and every part of you, every quiet need, every private moment, deserves care, not shame. Those parts no one talks about, the ones that make you feel alive, they're not flaws. They're you, human and breathing, still reaching for warmth in a world that can feel cold. So listen to your body, not your fears. Let it guide you to moments of peace, not struggle. You're not alone, not in this, not ever. I've been there, fumbling through the same questions, the same silences. If these words stir something in you, if they feel like a hand on your shoulder, maybe send this to a friend who needs it. Or just hit that subscribe so we can walk this path together, step by step, into the dusk.